to remind my Democratic colleagues that what's happened the last decade, federal law enforcement, intelligence community, even when Trump was president, has thrown everything at him. They've even gone after his associates and Republican Party organizations. One investigation after another, one prosecution after another. I use examples you've heard me already say today, Crossfire Hurricane and Arctic Frost. These were all built on defective foundations of political bias. And then we released the Clinton Index and the Durham Index and the FBI's failures to investigate. So I've been acquainted with this because I've been trying to get to the bottom of it, and we had to get a new FBI director to get all this information, Senator Cornyn.
Director Patel, welcome. Thank you for your willingness to serve in this very challenging position. How many people work for the FBI today?
Approximately 36,500, give or take.
I've always wondered whether an organization that big and that diffused all across the nation was actually capable of being managed. Have you experienced any surprises in terms of the, as the director, in terms of your management of the organization?
In my experience, Senator, the leaders in the field are supposed to lead. So we have empowered and we've changed the structural operation of the FBI to empower SACs in the 56 field office, 55, 56 come 1 October, to lead the mission. We've also empowered the respective assistant directors and operational directors to lead the mission. That is how you manage 36,500, 37,000 people. No one or two people can do it. And that's been the transition, is the power structure is being pushed out to the field operations.
It sounds like a very practical way to approach it. And how is morale?
Morale, when I travel around the country, in my experience, has never been higher. The FBI and the police officers that we work hand in glove with across this country are excited to do the work. And the stats that I'm citing are no achievement of mine. The stats that I'm citing in the 7 months that I've been there, such as a 42% increase in cyber arrests alone this year, is because the men and women at the FBI have been empowered in the field. They want to do the work. They're getting the opportunity to do the work. And with our great partners in the respective states like Texas, and where we just returned a top 10 most wanted fugitive in Cindy Singh, are getting the ability to make those prosecutions a reality.
By the way, Senator Durbin was asking about polygraphs. Aren't polygraphs a standard part of the standard test given to people with security clearances across the intelligence community?
They are.
As a condition to maintaining your security clearance?
I believe they are.
Speaking of intelligence, one of the things that I've wondered about over time is, the FBI is a premier law enforcement agency in the nation, but you also have other important responsibilities in counterintelligence. And there's been different debates or people wondering whether, including me, whether that's an appropriate role for the FBI to play. And I guess the most challenging part of that is, if it's not at the FBI, where would it go? But can you, given your background, I know, as working on the HPSI and your intelligence background, can you talk a little bit about what you think about the counterintelligence role of the FBI agents and how that's working, whether you think it's performing the way it should, or whether there are other changes or reforms need to be made in order to improve its functioning? As you know, the threats from our adversary nations are just proliferating every day. So what do you think?
The espionage activities of our adversaries have never been so high, and I think the counterintelligence mission is properly housed within the FBI because we've been vested with those authorities for Congress, and I believe that mission set is working. And if I can, sir, since January 20th of this year, the FBI has made 55 arrests on the counterintelligence mission alone. That's a 30% increase in CI arrests from the same time year-to-date last year. We've arrested 33% increase in PRC counterintelligence arrests. an 83% increase in Russia counterintelligence arrests from the same time last year, and a 60% increase on Iran counterintelligence arrests from the same time period last year. So we are already on total exceeding the entirety of the number of arrests from the previous year on counterintelligence matters across the board. And in my opinion, the FBI is the only agency that can do it. Now, we work with the interagency to do it, and we need them, but we have the mission set.
Thank you. You know, sometimes I wonder whether we sort of repeat the way we do things because we've always done it that way. And I'm getting up to building up to this issue of the narco-trafficking and what President Trump has ordered the Defense Department to do in terms of to take out some of these transnational criminal organizations that are importing poison into the United States and responsible for killing tens of thousands of Americans, maybe hundreds of thousands of Americans over time. Do you think a law enforcement model for dealing with these narco-traffickers is adequate to deal with the threat? Or do you think we need to start thinking about this in maybe new and different ways? Obviously, we're not engaged in a war per se, although it is a war metaphorically. And the law enforcement model seems to be not working from the standpoint of dealing with the volume of the threat and the magnitude of the threat. Do you think we need to start thinking about how do we deal within constitutional legal parameters to deal with this problem in a different way to be more effective in protecting the American people?
Absolutely. And the way to analogize this and why I've advocated for the designation, and I'm thankful that the Trump administration has designated these cartels and narco-traffickers as foreign terrorist organizations, is because we must treat them like the foreign terrorist organizations post 9/11. We must treat them like the Al-Qaedas of the world because that's how we're operating. And just treating them with law enforcement capabilities alone was wholly insufficient to wipe out the targets in their entirety. They always had the next man up philosophy. If you take out the leader, they got 10 guys behind him. But in order to eliminate, and that's the key, eliminate the drug trade, and eliminate the pouring into this country of narcotics, we have to use our authorities at the Department of War and the intelligence community to go after the threat like we did terrorists when we were manhunting them. And now we have that ability, and we're seeing that in live time, whether it's on the strike on the boat or going down into Mexico and working with our Mexican authorities with these intelligence assets to say we've located not just the person in charge, the cadre in charge, but the entire network. And we are now able to dismantle that entire network. It's going to take time. The manhunt after 9/11 took some years, and this is going to be a years-long mission.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the counterterrorism mission because we've had a lot of experience, the U.S. government writ large, with dealing with terrorism in the Middle East and elsewhere. And obviously, some of our friends and allies, like Mexico, for example, are very sensitive about sovereignty and being able to control what happens on their territory. But yet we're beginning to see more and more cooperation, as you point out, in that regard. And so in your opinion, has the counterterrorism model, have the lessons learned by the U.S. government writ large, are they being aggressively applied? Are there other things we need to do to make sure that those skills, those lessons learned are applied more broadly to the threat of narco-trafficking?
I can only speak to the FBI. We are applying all of them to our the CT mission set to the CN mission set, and we're using the new authorities given to our intelligence community partners in the Department of War to combine these collective efforts and in a new way, meeting together and creating an interagency process that gets after the threat dynamic. And whether that's a kill operation, a capture operation, a surrender operation, or a host nation takedown, like we did with the counterterrorism mission sets in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and Pakistan, and elsewhere, we are applying that to the drug traffickers in Mexico and Venezuela and Colombia.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have seen too much political violence in this country. We all know that. Just last week, Director, your friend Charlie Kirk